Stress is a major buzzword in wellness and just in general. And this is for good reason. One, everybody experiences it. And two, it affects everything. It affects our brain, it affects our body, it affects our hormones, our emotions, even our self-care, productivity, and relationships. One of the areas most vulnerable to stress is our gut. I'm Dr. Sarah, and today I want to discuss with you how to optimize digestive health and soothe stressed out guts using naturopathic and functional medicine. Now, many people have experienced this nervous stomach because of some sort of emotional upheaval, right? They tend to feel these butterflies or flutters whenever there's a stress or whenever maybe something is emotionally upsetting to them. Now, the reason for this is the gut is actually connected to the stress response. There's a bidirectional relationship to this. In other words, stress impacts our gastrointestinal functioning, and our gastrointestinal health actually impacts our emotional health and our perception of stress. So, if you've been having intestinal issues and you feel like you've done all the foundational basics correctly, sleep, diet, lifestyle, movement, and maybe even you've had things checked out by a primary care or a specialist and even taken medications and you're not getting anywhere, one area to consider is stress and this mind-body-gut connection. Now, in my previous article and video that accompanied it, I went over this stress-gut axis, which I termed. If you missed that, I will review it a little bit here, but the link will be in the video description. And I will also have the link to the accompanying article to this video with all of the resources and references in the video description as well. So just as a little quick review, the interaction between the gut and the stress response, let me just go over that briefly with you to catch everybody up to speed. First of all, our whole nervous system is connected to our second brain, not our brain in our heads, but our brain in our gut. We actually have a whole nervous system in our gastrointestinal tract, and it communicates with our nervous system that goes to our brain. There's also a gut-brain connection, and that is specifically how our gut communicates with our brain through the microbiome, which is the microbes that exist in the intestinal lining, and they produce different metabolites and signaling molecules that can get communicated to the brain through this network superhighway of a nerve called the vagus nerve. Now, stress can influence different areas of GI function. I term this the gut stress axis. Specifically, stress can impact our gut motility, our digestive and hormonal secretions in the gut, pain sensation, this microbial population, so we can get a shift in microbes, maybe some that aren't as optimal for our health as would be as if we weren't stressed. And it can impact the intestinal mucosa and protective defensive lining. Long-term stress can cause changes in immunity because our immune system is located in the gut, most of it, at least 70 to 90%, depending on which study you read. The microbiome it can impact, as I just mentioned, and this intestinal lining integrity. And if that gets compromised, it's known as intestinal permeability or leaky gut. And all of these factors can lead to various disease processes. So thankfully, there were two things that I left you with that you could do to help support a stressed out gut. One was to consider probiotics to help those microbiome shifts that occur with stress, and to maybe talk to your doctor about one that is optimized for your particular bacteria population in your gut, and also to do some lifestyle things to help calm the stress gut interaction. Now, what I want to do, now that we understand this whole gut stress link, is talk more about how to assess a gut issue, whether someone's been having symptoms, to look for what might be the causative factor or factors, and some naturopathic and functional medicine modalities to help support soothing the gut and calming the brain so we can have a healthy gut-brain interaction without excess stress, right? Or at least be able to modulate it so it doesn't get out of control. So let's look at some basic lab. Let's look at some functional labs, and then we'll dive into those naturopathic and functional medicine approaches. So basic labs that a primary care or a gastrointestinal doctor might run for you include a complete blood chemistry. Now, this is a test that most people are familiar with. It looks at your overall metabolism, your kidney and liver health and function, your electrolytes, and even your blood sugar. And all of these can be dysregulated when the gut is unhealthy and altered by GI function. Now, a white blood cell differential count is a test that can be run to assess the immune function of someone and to see maybe if there's a rise in specific white blood cells, which can indicate a potential infection or an allergic response. And then hemoglobin A1C is an additional blood sugar marker over time, usually about 3 months. And what it indicates is if blood sugar is too high, too low. Gut health actually influences blood sugar through the microbiome and through if someone has intestinal permeability that can cause systemic inflammation and blood sugar deregulation. So it's important to know what your blood sugar is if there's a gut issue. And also just in general, are you absorbing glucose okay? Other tests that may be necessary when someone's in GI distress are things such as a comprehensive thyroid panel. And this is to rule out if someone has low thyroid or hypothyroidism, which can cause chronic constipation or slower digestion that can create gastrointestinal discomfort. An iron panel might be run, especially if someone might be thought of to have an ulcer, which can cause bleeding in the gut lining. So a doctor might want to assess iron levels, ferritin levels, just different measurements to assess if there's been any bleeding. And then other immune and inflammatory markers can be run as needed. Specific imaging and testing could be done, things such as evaluating the lower colon with a colonoscopy. You could also get different imaging for different areas of the gastrointestinal tract. People might perform imaging to know if someone has GERD or gastroesophageal reflux disease. Ulcers, which I mentioned, and other chronic inflammatory bowel diseases. You can actually check out the list if you're interested in that in the reference article to this video. And then finally, there's functional medicine dysbiosis markers. Now, dysbiosis is an imbalance in the gut microbes, and these different tests can help assess somebody's digestive health, especially a comprehensive stool test. And what that does is it can give a complete look of gut health, measuring pathogens, analyze digestion, nutrient absorption, inflammation, and immune function. And then a doctor might also want to look at if there's been SIBO or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, H. pylori, or other pathogens in the gut. And these results can help diagnose infectious causes of things such as GERD, ulcers, or digestive disorders. So those are kind of an overview of some of the tests, whether they be basic labs, imaging, or dysbiosis markers and functional tests to help see what might be causing some of the digestive distress. And of course, we have stress, right? Once all of that is ruled out as well. Now, some naturopathic and functional medicine modalities to help soothe the gut, to help calm the brain. We're going to go through those right now. So one of the things I think of first when someone is having digestive issues is if they actually have enough digestive enzymes to absorb their food and to assimilate it, to go into the bloodstream and into the organs and cells where the nutrition and nourishment is needed. So now digestive enzymes decrease with stress, they decrease with age, they decrease with any kind of gastrointestinal issue. So supplementing with things such as pancreatic enzymes, different what they call ASEs, if something says like lipase, cellulase, those are different enzymes. Bromelain is a popular one. Hydrochloric acid in the stomach can be downregulated with stress or even up to high if there's stress. So there's different supplements you can do for that. And then also just making sure people have proper nutrients to make these digestive enzymes. So One, they don't have to be too dependent on them long term, although many people do use them more often, especially as they age, and because they're losing digestive enzyme prowess, as well as the fact that many people are eating under stress, not serene conditions as they wish. So iron, zinc, and B vitamins are important to help your body make digestive enzymes. And many people are deficient in all of three of those. Now, nourishing foods and lifestyle can help optimize and make for a very robust digestive system because they feed your microbiome. You are actually not just what you eat, but you're what your belly bugs eat, because the belly bugs are actually what assimilate the nutrients and help communicate through this gut brain what our brain and body signals are going to say to different cells and help with nourishment and cell signaling and processes and metabolism, etc. So some of the things that we want to consider are things such as fermented foods. So those are yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut. They impact and feed our microbiome. Polyphenol-rich foods, and they can also be in beverages such as coffee, tea, or chocolate is high in polyphenols, berries. Fiber lifestyle changes can help nourish the microbiome. Things such as sleep and stress reduction, right, are related to microbiome changes. And then movement. So many people might have experienced a slow digestion, and when they went for a workout or a run or did some movement, they might have felt a relief in their digestive cramping issues or slow transit time, as we will say. And this is because movement helps digestive movement as well, digestive motility, and it also shifts the microbiome. Now, all of this being said, not everyone is going to be the best candidate for all of these different foods. Many people might not have the digestive prowess to handle a lot of fiber. It could actually aggravate some conditions. Same goes for fermented foods. Some people who respond to high histamine foods, they have a lot of allergies or allergic responses, might not do well with fermented foods. So just keep that in mind. Now, herbs and supplements. Herbs in general have a pretty cool way that they interact and impact the gut. First of all, the plant material actually is eaten by these little microbes, and they produce metabolites that serve as signaling molecules that change the composition of the gut and actually feed the good bugs in our gastrointestinal tract. And this gets communicated, right, systemically through this nervous system and gut-brain connection. So different herbs can be used to help these signaling molecules in different ways. We have antimicrobial herbs. We have herbs that are demulcents. What that means is they soothe the intestinal lining and irritated tissues. And examples of those are things like slippery elm or licorice. Nutrients and supplements can also be helpful for replenishing deficiencies in malabsorption. So melatonin has evidence in human trials to support healthy stomach function and digestive tract lining, and even some other conditions. And probiotics actually have evidence for alleviating gastrointestinal conditions as well. And they also have some studies that show this gut-brain stress link, where people have taken probiotics and they've actually done imaging studies in the brain to show that it modulated things such as anxiety and the stress response as it changed our gastrointestinal microbiome population, which is pretty cool. Essential oils are another area that I love to use with clients because they do two things. One, they have many properties that support digestion, and two, they also calm the mind and the body. So how they support digestion is they are antimicrobial, they're anti-inflammatory, they are antioxidants, so they relieve cellular stress, they soothe the mucosa of the gastrointestinal lining, and they benefit the mind-body connection. They've also been shown to be beneficial to the microbiome. So there's some misunderstanding out there that people think just because they're antimicrobial, that they are going to cause a dysbiosis in the gastrointestinal tract. And the evidence I've seen actually disproves that thought process because they tend to be selective in that they inhibit pathogens while they still support beneficial bacteria in the gut. So some of my favorites are peppermint, frankincense, and myrrh, cadmium, oregano and thyme, ginger, fennel is well known for digestive health, juniper, tarragon, and copaiba. Now, as far as for the mind-body connection in essential oils, they can modulate our brain and our stress response in 9 different ways. I have a video on that as well, but just as a little bit of a recap, essential oils can help reduce cortisol or the stress hormone. They can modulate our neurotransmitters, which help with our mood and our brain functioning. They shift our brain waves in certain studies, calm us down. They can enhance cognition, support cellular physiology. They work directly on the emotional brain. Remember, your sense of smell goes directly to the amygdala portion of the brain, probably related to a primitive survival instinct. But regardless, our sense of smell impacts our emotions instantaneously. And interestingly, also aroma in general will do this, but more interesting, the odor molecules actually help synergize with this effect because they will do all of the things I talked about with this modulating brain signals, shifting our brain waves, calming our emotions as we're also inhaling just the aroma itself. Aromas also evoke memories, which influence our mood through their odor. And then the odor molecules themselves interact with odor receptors in the body, which actually influence our physiology and cellular processing patterns. So very cool stuff that essential oils do. Now, in small clinical trials, the ones that were related to lowering cortisol were lavender, clary sage, and bergamot. And then there's 2 blends that I like to use with people who have digestive or mind-body issues relating to various symptoms that they're having. And one is the stress relief blend and another is a joyful blend. And I have links for them in the video description in the article. Finally, so we have these labs that we went over. We have different imaging we went over. Now we've gone over some naturopathic and functional medicine modalities, right? We talked about digestive enzymes. We talked about herbs and supplements. We talked about lifestyle and foods. We talked about essential oils. And then just in general, some holistic stress relief. So these practices actually have been shown to change our cellular pathways, to change how our DNA is expressed at the epigenetic level, because they are environmental cues that actually cause our cells to shift in one way or another way. And it's simple things, even like laughter and relaxation can modulate our stress response. Lifestyle practices we discussed, like stress relief, sleep, movement, self-care techniques, and mind-body techniques. So whether it's mindfulness or yoga or something you enjoy, maybe even a mindful walk, these can all modulate the stress pattern. So we have gone through a lot, and I hope this was helpful for you. I do want you to know that it can get overwhelming and that naturopathic and functional medicine doctors can guide you to support optimal digestive health and anything for a stressed out gut. They can help soothe some of the mind-body issues related to digestive health. As I mentioned, they also have modalities to directly support digestive health as well. So if you need extra help, make sure you reach out. And also, if you are interested in more resources that I do, make sure that you check out my Get Oiling website. I will have the link in the video description under resources. I offer free classes. I also offer clinical classes for practitioners that are working with clients and want to learn more how to integrate essential oils clinically into their practice. I also will have an upcoming program, so make sure you get on my mailing list to stay up to date, and also so that you will not miss any video releases or upcoming articles. I've enjoyed talking to you, and I really want to thank you for your time and listening about stressed out gut. I hope that you've gotten some tools that can help calm your brain and body and gut down so that you can live a more empowered and a more wellness focused lifestyle so you can get on with your life and do the stuff that you love. So thank you again for joining me, and I will see you real soon. Take good care, gentle care. Till then.